49 amazing space oddities. 1. Discover the strangest things about our universe. The universe is a bizarre place with its strange galaxies, alien planets, mysterious moons, and strange phenomena that are so out of this world they elude explanation. Scientists have discovered ice-spewing volcanoes on Pluto, while Mars is home to a truly Grand Canyon the size of the United States. There may even be a giant undiscovered planet lurking somewhere beyond Neptune. We have put together a list of some of the strangest facts about planets, dwarf planets, comets, and other incredible objects around the universe. 2. Uranus is tilted on its side. Uranus appears to be a featureless blue ball upon first glance, but this gas giant of the outer solar system is pretty weird upon closer inspection. First, the planet rotates on its side for reasons scientists haven't quite figured out. The most likely explanation is that it underwent some sort of one or more titanic collisions in the ancient past. In any case, the tilt makes Uranus unique among the solar system planets. Uranus also has tenuous rings, which were confirmed when the planet passed in front of a star from Earth's perspective in 1977. As the star's light winked on and off repeatedly, astronomers realized there was more than just a planet blocking its starlight. More recently, astronomers spotted storms in Uranus's atmosphere several years after its closest approach to the Sun, when the atmosphere would have been heated the most. Lawrence Sromovsky, University of Wisconsin-Madison WM, Keck Observatory. 3. The Milky Way poaches galaxies. The Milky Way may be home, but that doesn't make it any less weird. It turns out that the Milky Way has been poaching galaxies from its neighbors. In research published in October 2019, astronomers reported that 4 dwarf galaxies and 2 large galaxies, known as Carina and Fornax, used to orbit the Large Magellanic Cloud, a galaxy about 163,000 light-years away from our own. Now, all 6 of these galaxies belong to the Milky Way's orbit. As a bonus, the study also found that the Large Magellanic Cloud is stranger than previously believed. It hosts many tiny dwarf galaxies, some of which are so faint that they don't even have stars, only dark matter. Hubble Space Telescope. 4. Mars has the biggest volcano that we know of. While Mars seems quiet now, we know that in the past, something caused gigantic volcanoes to form and erupt. This includes Olympus Mons, the biggest volcano ever discovered in the solar system. At 374 miles, 600 kilometers across, the volcano is comparable to the size of Arizona. It's 16 miles, 25 kilometers, high, or triple the height of Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth. Volcanoes on Mars can grow to such immense size because gravity is much weaker on the red planet than it is on Earth. But how those volcanoes came to be in the first place is not well known. There is a debate as to whether Mars has a global plate tectonic system and whether it is active. NASA. 5. Mars also has the longest valley. If you thought the Grand Canyon was big, that's nothing compared to Valles Marineris. At 2,500 miles, 4,000 kilometers long, this immense system of Martian canyons is more than 10 times as long as the Grand Canyon on Earth. Valles Marineris escaped the notice of early Mars spacecraft, which flew over other parts of the planet, and was finally spotted by the global mapping mission Mariner 9 in 1971. And what a sight it was to miss! Valles Marineris is about as long as the United States. The lack of active plate tectonics on Mars makes it tough to figure out how the canyon formed. Some scientists even think that a chain of volcanoes on the other side of the planet, known as the Tharsis Ridge, somehow bent the crust from the opposite side of Mars, thus creating Valles Marineris. More close-up study is needed to learn more, but you can't send a rover over there easily. NASA. 6. Venus has super powerful winds. Venus is a hellish planet with a high-temperature, high-pressure environment on its surface. 10 of the Soviet Union's heavily shielded Venera spacecraft lasted only a few minutes on its surface when they landed there in the 1970s. But even above its surface, the planet has a bizarre environment. Scientists have found that its upper winds flow 50 times faster than the planet's rotation. The European Venus Express spacecraft, which orbited the planet between 2006 and 2014, tracked the winds over long periods and detected periodic variations. It also found that the hurricane-force winds appeared to be getting stronger over time. NASA. 7. There is water ice everywhere. Water ice was once considered a rare substance in space, but now we know we just weren't looking for it in the right places. In fact, water ice exists all over the solar system. Ice is a common component of comets and asteroids, for example. But we know that not all ice is the same. Close-up examination of Comet 67P Churyumov-Gerasimenko by the European Space Agency's Rosetta spacecraft, for example, revealed a different kind of water ice than what is found on Earth. That said, we've spotted water ice all over the solar system. It's in permanently shadowed craters on Mercury and the Moon, although we don't know if there's enough to support colonies in those places. Mars also has ice at its poles, in frost and likely below the surface dust. Even smaller bodies in the solar system have ice: Jupiter's moon, Europa, Saturn's moon, Enceladus, and the dwarf planet Ceres, among others. NASA, Joapel, Carnegie. Institution of Washington, DLR, Smithsonian Institution. 8. Spacecraft have visited every planet. We've been exploring space for more than 60 years and have been lucky enough to get close-up pictures of dozens of celestial objects. Most notably, we've sent spacecraft to all of the planets in our solar system: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, as well as 2 dwarf planets, Pluto and Ceres. The bulk of the flybys came from NASA's twin Voyager spacecraft, which left Earth in 1977 and are still transmitting data from beyond the solar system in interstellar space. Between them, the Voyagers clocked visits to Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, thanks to an opportune alignment of the outer planets. NASA. 9. This pretty pinwheel galaxy has a double nucleus. Messier 83 is a large, photogenic spiral galaxy with a bar-shaped center similar to the Milky Way. It sits 15 million light-years away in the constellation Hydra. Messier 83 is weird in a couple ways. First, it appears to have a double nucleus at its center, perhaps the mark of 2 supermassive black holes holding the galaxy together, or perhaps the effect of a lopsided disk of stars orbiting a single central black hole. Second, Messier 83 is a supernova supersite. Astronomers have directly observed 6 of these stellar explosions in the galaxy, along with remnants of 300 more. This puts Messier 83 in second place for supernovas, as only the galaxy NGC 6946 has produced more observable supernovas, with 9. So, 10. There could be life in the solar system, somewhere. So far, scientists have found no evidence that life exists elsewhere in the solar system. But as we learn more about how extreme microbes live in underwater volcanic vents or in frozen environments, more possibilities open up for where they could live on other planets. These aren't the aliens people once feared lived on Mars, but microbial life in the solar system is a possibility. Microbial life is now considered so likely on Mars that scientists take special precautions to sterilize spacecraft before sending them over there. That's not the only place, though. With several icy moons scattered around the solar system, it's possible there are microbes somewhere in the oceans of Jupiter's Europa, or perhaps underneath the ice at Saturn's Enceladus, among other locations. NASA, JPL SSI. 11. Mercury is still shrinking. For many years, scientists believed that Earth was the only tectonically active planet in the solar system. That changed after the Mercury surface, space environment, geochemistry and ranging MESSENGER spacecraft did the first orbital mission at Mercury, mapping the entire planet in high definition and getting a look at the features on its surface. In 2016, data from MESSENGER, which had crashed into Mercury as planned in April 2015, revealed cliff-like landforms known as fault scarps. Because the fault scarps are relatively small, scientists are sure that they weren't created that long ago and that the planet is still contracting 4.5 billion years after the solar system was formed. NASA Jewapal Carnegie, Institution of Washington DLR Smithsonian Institution. 12. Tadpole swims through space. 300 million light-years away, an enormous tadpole swims through space. This tadpole galaxy has a tail that's a whopping 500,000 light-years long and is 10 times longer than the Milky Way. What created this odd galactic shape? A cosmic collision, researchers reported in 2018 in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. Two disk galaxies pulled on a smaller dwarf galaxy, clumping the stars on one end into a head and leaving the others to stream out in a long tail. This arrangement is for a limited time only, though. In a few billion years, the galaxies will merge together with some others in the vicinity to create one single galaxy. N. Broche, Tel Aviv University. 13. This galaxy passing behind a star looks just amazing. The image looks more like a psychedelic bit of dandelion puff than a cosmological phenomenon, but this snapshot captured by the Hubble Space Telescope has nothing to do with botany. What you're seeing is a galaxy, the smudge at the lower right, beginning to pass behind a star, the dandelion-looking spiky sphere. The galaxy is nicknamed the Vermin Galaxy by some scientists because its light gets in the way of studying the closer star and its system. ESA, Hubble and NASA. 14. Rings are everywhere in the solar system. While we've known about Saturn's rings since telescopes were invented in the 1600s, it took spacecraft and more powerful telescopes built in the last 50 years to reveal more. We now know that every planet in the outer solar system, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, each have ring systems. That said, rings are very different from planet to planet. Saturn's spectacular rings, which may have come from a broken-up moon, are not repeated anywhere else. Rings aren't limited to planets either. In 2014, for example, astronomers discovered rings were discovered around the asteroid Chariklo. Why such a small body would have rings is a mystery, but one hypothesis is perhaps a broken-up moonlet created the fragments. NASA and the Hubble Heritage Team, STSEI Aura, Acknowledgement, R.G. French, Wellesley College, J. Kuzi, NASA Ames, L. Donis, SWRI, and J. Lissauer, NASA Ames. 15. This rogue planet generates auroras. Drifting through the galaxy are rogue planets, which have been flung away from their parent star by gravitational forces. One particular peculiarity in this class is known as SIMP J01365663 Fatumawona 33473, a planet-size object 200 light-years away whose magnetic field is more than 200 times stronger than Jupiter's. This is strong enough to generate flashing auroras in its atmosphere, which can be seen with radio telescopes. Chuck Carter, NRAO, AUI, NSF, Caltech.
16. There are mountains on Pluto. Pluto is a tiny world at the edge of the solar system, so at first it was thought that the dwarf planet would have a fairly uniform environment. That changed when NASA's New Horizons spacecraft flew by there in 2015, sending back pictures that altered our view of Pluto forever. Among the astounding discoveries were icy mountains that are 11,000 feet, 300 meters, high, indicating that Pluto must have been geologically active as little as 100 million years ago. But geological activity requires energy, and the source of that energy inside Pluto is a mystery. The sun is too far away from Pluto to generate enough heat for geological activity, and there are no large planets nearby that could have caused such disruption with gravity. NASA Jewapal Suri.
17. There's a zombie galaxy where stars no longer form. The massive, disk-shaped galaxy Max 2129-1 spins twice as fast as the Milky Way does, but it's still not nearly as active. Hubble observations of the distant galaxy reveal that it hasn't made stars for some 10 billion years. Max 2129-1 is what's known as a dead galaxy, because stars no longer form there. The discovery of this galaxy was a head-scratcher. Scientists believed that galaxies of this sort had formed by merging with smaller galaxies over time, but MAX 2129 1S stars didn't form from these sort of explosive mergers. They formed early on, in the disk of the original galaxy. The findings, published in the journal Nature in 2017, suggest that dead galaxies somehow internally rearrange their structure as they age rather than changing shape because they combine with other galaxies. NASA/ESA/Z. Levy, Chi.
18. Pluto has a bizarre atmosphere. Pluto's observed atmosphere broke all the predictions. Scientists saw the haze extending as high as 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers, rising higher above the surface than the atmosphere on Earth. As data from New Horizons flowed in, scientists analyzed the haze and discovered some surprises there too. Scientists found about 20 layers in Pluto's atmosphere that are both cooler and more compact than expected. This affects calculations for how quickly Pluto loses its nitrogen-rich atmosphere to space. NASA's New Horizons team found that tons of nitrogen gas escape the dwarf planet by the hour, but somehow Pluto is able to constantly resupply that lost nitrogen. The dwarf planet is likely creating more of it through geological activity. NASA, JURPL, CBRI. 19. Jupiter's Great Red Spot is shrinking. Along with being the solar system's largest planet, Jupiter also hosts the solar system's largest storm. Known as the Great Red Spot, since it's big and ruddy-colored, it's been observed in telescopes since the 1600s. Nobody knows exactly why the storm has been raging for centuries, but in recent decades another mystery emerged. The spot is getting smaller. In 2014, the storm was only 10,150 miles, 16,500 kilometers across, about half of what was measured historically. The shrinkage is being monitored in professional telescopes and also by amateurs, as telescope and computer technology allow high-powered photographs at an affordable cost. Amateurs are often able to make more consistent measurements of Jupiter because viewing time on larger professional telescopes is limited and often split between different objects. NASA, JPL, Space Science Institute. 20. This galaxy looks just like a jellyfish located in the constellation Triangular Mistral. Galaxy ESO 137 01 looks amazingly like a jellyfish swimming amid a sea of stars. The galaxy is a barred spiral galaxy. Together, its stars form a spiral shape with a bar-shaped center, with a twist, streamers of stars that seem to drift like jellyfish tentacles. According to NASA, these stars are forming inside a tail of dust and gas, invisible to the naked eye, that streams off ESO 137. 1. This formation process is a bit of a mystery, as the gases in the tail should be too hot for star formation. ESA NASA. 21. Most comets are spotted with a sun-gazing telescope. Comets used to be the province of amateur astronomers who spent night after night scouring the skies with telescopes. While some professional observatories also made discoveries while viewing comets, that really began to change with the launch of the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory SOHO in 1995. Since then, the spacecraft has found more than 2,400 comets, which is incredible considering its primary mission is to observe the Sun. These comets are nicknamed sun grazers because they come so close to the Sun. Many amateurs still participate in the search for comets by picking them out from raw SOHO images. One of SOHO's most famous observations came when it watched the breakup of the bright comet Ison in 2013, ESA NASA SOHO SDO GSFC. 22. There may be a huge planet at the edge of the solar system. In January 2015, California Institute of Technology, astronomers Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown announced, based on mathematical calculations and on simulations, that there could be a giant planet lurking far beyond Neptune. Several teams are now on the search for this theoretical Planet 9, which could take decades to find if it's actually out there. This large object, if it exists, could help explain the movements of some objects in the Kuiper belt an icy collection of objects beyond Neptune's orbit. Brown has already discovered several large objects in that area that in some cases rivaled or exceeded the size of Pluto. His discoveries were one of the catalysts for changing Pluto's status from planet to dwarf planet in 2006. Caltech R. Hurt, IPAC. 23. Earth's largest neighbor has been devouring smaller galaxies. As if zombie galaxies weren't spooky enough, some galaxies are giant cannibals. The Andromeda Galaxy, Earth's largest neighbor, has been devouring smaller galaxies for at least 10 billion years, according to 2019 research. In another 4.5 billion years, the Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way Galaxy will collide, although it's not yet clear who will devour whom in that cosmic pileup. Earthlings, unfortunately, will not be around to see this clash play out, as our own sun is heating up and will likely make life on Earth impossible between about 1 billion and 5 billion years from now. NASA JPL Caltech. 24. Neptune radiates more heat than it gets from the Sun. Neptune is far away from Earth, and you can bet that scientists would love to get another spacecraft out there sometime soon. Perhaps today's technology could better answer some Neptunian mysteries, such as why the blue planet is giving off more heat than it receives. It's bizarre considering that Neptune is so far away from the faint Sun. Scientists would love to know what's going on, because it's believed that the vast temperature differential could affect weather processes on the planet. NASA estimates the temperature difference between the heat source and the cloud tops is minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 160 degrees Celsius. NASA JPL. 25. Jupiter has more heavy elements, proportionally, than the Sun. The Sun and the planets likely formed from the same cloud of hydrogen and helium gas. This would especially be true of Jupiter, a planet 317 times the size of Earth that pulled in a lot more gas than our own planet. So if that's the case, why does Jupiter have more heavy, rocky elements than the Sun? One of the leading theories is that Jupiter's atmosphere is enriched by the comets, asteroids, and other small rocky bodies that it pulls in with its strong gravitational field. Since amateur technology has improved, several small bodies have been seen falling into Jupiter in the past decade. NASA, ESA, and A. Simon.
26. This galaxy is moving too fast to gobble up other galaxies. When you're a galaxy, you've got to consume other galaxies or die. Galaxy NGC 1277 chose the latter. This galaxy, first reported in 2018, is a mere 240 million light-years from Earth. It hasn't formed new stars for about 10 billion years, making it a dead galaxy. Astronomers believe that NGC 1277 became stunted because it's moving too fast to gobble up other galaxies in its gravitational pull. It's traveling through space at about 2 million mph or 3.2 million km/h. Without gas and dust from alien galaxies, NGC 1277 no longer forms stars. Some astronomers think that most galaxies started out looking at Lot, like NGC 1277, evolving spiral and other shapes only through later mergers with one another. NASA, ESA, and M. Beasley, Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias. 26. This galaxy is moving too fast to gobble up other galaxies. When you're a galaxy, you've got to consume other galaxies or die. Galaxy NGC 1277 chose the latter. This galaxy, first reported in 2018, is a mere 240 million light-years from Earth. It hasn't formed new stars for about 10 billion years, making it a dead galaxy. Astronomers believe that NGC 1277 became stunted because it's moving too fast to gobble up other galaxies in its gravitational pull. It's traveling through space at about 2 million mph or 3.2 million km/h. Without gas and dust from alien galaxies, NGC 1277 no longer forms stars. Some astronomers think that most galaxies started out looking at Lot, like NGC 1277, evolving spiral and other shapes only through later mergers with one another. NASA, ESA, and M. Beasley, Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias. 28. Organics are commonplace in the solar system. Organics are molecules that are present both in life processes and in non-life processes. While common on Earth, what's interesting is they're also in many places in the solar system. When scientists found organics on the surface of Comet 67P, for example, it bolstered the case that perhaps organics were brought to the surface of Earth by small bodies. Organics have also been found on the surface of Mercury, on Saturn's moon Titan, which gives Titan its orange color, and on Mars. This makes them common in the solar system. Eisei, Rosetta, MPS for Osiris, Team MPS, UPD, LAM, IAA, SSO, Inter, UPM, DASP, EDA.
29. Uranus has a very battered moon. One of the most bizarre moons in the outer solar system is Miranda, which, unfortunately, we saw only once when Voyager 2 passed by it in 1986. This moon of Uranus has bizarre features on its surface, with sharp boundaries separating ridges, craters, and other things. It is possible that the moon could have had tectonic activity, but how that happened on a body with a diameter of 500 kilometers is a mystery. Scientists aren't sure how the patchwork surface came about, and we likely won't be able to tell for sure until another mission gets out there. Perhaps the moon was smashed into bits and coalesced again, or maybe meteorites struck the surface and caused temporary melts in small areas. NASA. 30. Little Cub is doomed. Possibly the cutest named galaxy ever, Little Cub sits in the constellation of Ursa Major. This dwarf galaxy has been largely dormant since the Big Bang, which means that it might contain molecules unchanged, since just moments after the rapid expansion of the universe 13.7 billion years ago. Little Cub is also doomed. It's being consumed by its larger neighbor, a Milky Way-like galaxy called NGC 3359. Still, the opportunity to watch NGC 3359 strip the star-forming gases from Little Cub is valuable to science, because astronomers may be able to measure the signatures of those early universe molecules before they're gone. Xu et al., 2017. 31. Saturn has a hexagonal-shaped storm. Saturn's northern hemisphere has a raging six-sided storm nicknamed the hexagon. Why exactly it's that shape is a mystery. But what is known is that this hexagon, which shares several features in common with hurricanes, has been there for at least decades, if not hundreds of years. Lighting conditions in Saturn's northern hemisphere began to improve in 2012, when Saturn approached its northern summer solstice. NASA JPL Caltech SSI Hampton University. 32. Titan has a liquid cycle, but it's definitely not water. Another weird moon in Saturn's system is Titan, which hosts a liquid cycle that moves between the atmosphere and the surface. That sounds a lot like Earth, until you begin looking at its environment. It has lakes filled with methane and ethane, which could be reminiscent of the chemistry that occurred on Earth before life arose. Titan also has nitrogen-rich compounds known as tholins. This gives Titan its distinctive orange color. Titan's atmosphere is so thick that radar is needed to penetrate a spacecraft's view down to the surface. NASA JPL Caltech Space Science Institute. 33. This eye is made from a stream of stars and dust. Ever feel like you're being watched? The disk of spiral galaxy IC 2163 seems to peer out into space with an enormous eye. This eye-shaped feature is actually a huge stream of stars and dust produced when IC 2163, at right an image, brushed against another spiral galaxy, NGC 2207, left. These ocular features last only a few tens of millions of years. Astronomer Michelle Kaufman, who reported the discovery in 2016, said in a statement, "That's a blink of an eye, pun intended, in the lifespan of a galaxy, so discovering one is a unique opportunity." The researchers found that the gases of the eye feature raced toward the center of EC 2163 at 62 miles per second, 100 kilometers per second, before crashing like a wave on the shore, becoming more chaotic and slowing as they move toward the galaxy's center. The deceleration causes the gas to pile up and compress, which could set the stage for the formation of new stars. NASA, ESA, and the Hubble Heritage Team, STSCI. 34. Could there be a moon with a moon? What's better than a moon? A moon orbiting a moon, which the internet has dubbed a moon-moon, also known as submoons, moonitos, grand moons, Moonettes and muons, moons are still only theoretical, but recent calculations suggest that there's nothing impossible about their formation. Perhaps astronomers may one day discover one. NASA JPL Space Science Institute.
35. Mars has varying amounts of methane in its atmosphere. Methane is a substance that is produced by life, such as by microbes, or by natural processes such as volcanic activity. But why it keeps fluctuating so much on Mars is a mystery. Various telescopes and space probes have found different levels of methane on Mars over the years, making it hard to chart where this substance is coming from. It's unclear if the varying levels of methane are due to telescopic differences or differences in the amount of methane coming from the surface. NASA's Curiosity rover even detected a spike in methane during one Martian year that did not repeat the next, indicating whatever it saw was not seasonal. It will likely take more long-term observations of Mars to fully figure out the mystery. NASA JPL Caltech MSS.
36. This galaxy is coming our way. Most galaxies that scientists observe appear to be moving away from Earth, because space is still expanding. Not Messier 90, though. This spiral galaxy is about 60 million light-years away and moving toward the Milky Way. Astronomers can detect this movement because the light coming from Messier 90 is skewed toward the blue end of the light spectrum. Objects moving away from Earth are redshifted, meaning their light emissions are weighted toward red. Messier 90 is part of a large group of galaxies called the Virgo cluster. It can be seen from the northern hemisphere in May with a telescope or binoculars sitting between the constellations Virgo and Leo, according to NASA. WikiSky. 37. Saturn has a two-tone moon. Saturn's moon Iapetus is a study in contrasts, with a very dark hemisphere and a very light hemisphere. It's unlike anything else in the solar system and has sparked speculation as to what is really going on. Some scientists believe that particles from Phoebe, another darker moon, may be falling on its surface. Others speculate that it's due to volcanic eruptions of hydrocarbons, which would create dark patches. Cassini's flyby of Iapetus in 2007 also postulated a third theory, which is thermal segregation. Iapetus only rotates once every 79 days or so, stretching out the daily temperature cycle. This could force icy material to move into colder regions as the dark material heats up. NASA. 38. The solar atmosphere is much hotter than the surface. While the sun's visible surface, the photosphere, is 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,500 degrees Celsius, the upper atmosphere has temperatures in the millions of degrees. It's a large temperature differential with little explanation for now. NASA has several sun-gazing spacecraft on the case, however, and they have some ideas for how the heating is generated. One is heat bombs, which happens when magnetic fields cross and realign in the corona. Another is when plasma waves move from the sun's surface into the corona. NASA. 39. Hyperion is highly electric. The title of weirdest moon in the solar system could go to many celestial objects: Jupiter's overly volcanic Io, Neptune's geyser-spewing Triton. But one of the strangest looking is Saturn's Hyperion, a pumice stone-like irregular rock pockmarked with numerous craters. NASA's Cassini spacecraft, which visited the Saturn system between 2004 and 2017, also found that Hyperion was charged with a particle beam of static electricity flowing out into space. NASA JPL Caltech Space Science Institute. 40. This galaxy has blooms against the void of space. Galaxy ESO 381-12 seems to bloom. This galaxy, 270 million light-years from Earth, is in the constellation Centaurus. It's a lenticular galaxy, a hybrid between a spiral galaxy like the Milky Way and a stretched-out elliptical galaxy. What make ESO 381-12 really strange, though, are the uneven, petal-like blooms that ghost outward from the main galactic body. Astronomers aren't entirely sure what causes these structures or the clusters of stars that orbit on the galaxy's edges. It's possible that the blooms are shock waves from a relatively recent galactic collision that also provided the galaxy with new fuel for star formation. NASA, ESA, P. Godefroy, STSCI. 41. Mysterious radio signals arrive from billions of light-years away. Since 2007, researchers have been receiving ultra-strong, ultra-bright radio signals lasting only a few milliseconds. These enigmatic flashes have been called fast radio bursts, FRBs, and they appear to be coming from billions of light-years away. They're not aliens. It's never aliens. Recently, scientists managed to capture a repeating FRB, which flashed 6 times in a row, the second such signal ever seen, and one that could help them unravel this mystery. NRO Outreach T. Jarrett, IPAC Caltech, B. Saxton, NRO AWI NSF.
42. This neutrino told us where it came from. The single high-energy neutrino that struck Earth on Sept. 22, 2017, wasn't, on its own, all that extraordinary. Physicists at the IceCube Neutrino Observatory in Antarctica see neutrinos of similar energy levels at least once a month. But this one was special because it was the first to arrive with enough information about its origin for astronomers to point telescopes in the direction it came from. They figured out that it had been flung at Earth 4 billion years ago by a flaring blazar, a supermassive black hole at the center of a galaxy that had been consuming surrounding material. DESI, Science Communication Lab. 43. Dead stars are stupidly strong. The strongest substance in the universe forms from the leftovers of a dead star. According to simulations, protons and neutrons in a star's shriveled husk can be subject to insane gravitational pressure, which squeezes them into linguine-like tangles of material that would snap, but only if you applied to them 10 billion times the force needed to shatter steel. NASA, JPL Caltech. 44. This galaxy has 2 black holes. Most galaxies are probably anchored by a supermassive black hole at their center. A few, though, contain not 1, but 2 black holes. One of these is NGC 7674, a spiral galaxy whose center boasts a pair of black holes a mere light-year apart. The galaxy, 400 million miles from Earth, probably collected the spare black hole during a collision and merger with another galaxy. The only other galaxy known to have 2 black holes at its heart is a supermassive galaxy called Ur402-379. NASA, ESA, the Hubble Heritage Team, STSCI Aura, ESA, Hubble Collaboration, and A. Evans, University of Virginia, Charlottesville, NRAO, Stony Brook University. 45. Haumea has rings. The dwarf planet Haumea, which orbits in the Kuiper belt out beyond Neptune, is already unusual. It has a strange, elongated shape, 2 moons, and a day that lasts only 4 hours, making it the fastest spinning large object in the solar system. But in 2017, Haumea got even weirder when astronomers watched it pass in front of a star and noticed extremely thin rings orbiting around it, likely the result of a collision sometime in the distant past. IAA Ixik Uhu. 46. The most bizarre star that dips in brightness. When astronomer Tabitha Boyajian of Louisiana State University and her colleagues first saw the star known as KIC 846285, they were flummoxed. Nicknamed Tabby's star, the object would dip in brightness at irregular intervals and for odd lengths of time, sometimes by as much as 22%. Different theories were invoked, including the possibility of an alien megastructure, but nowadays most researchers believe the star to be surrounded by an abnormal ring of dust that's causing the darkening. NASA, JPL Caltech. 47. Is there a dark matterless galaxy? Dark matter, the unknown substance comprising 85% of all matter in the universe, is strange. But researchers are at least sure about one thing. Dark matter is everywhere. So team members were scratching their heads over a peculiar galaxy they spotted in March 2018 that seemed to contain hardly any dark matter. Subsequent work suggested that the celestial oddity did in fact contain dark matter, though the finding paradoxically lent credence to an alternative theory positing that dark matter doesn't exist at all. Get it together, astronomers. NASA, ESA, and P. Van Dokkum, Yale University. 48. Some of Hubble's images may ruin theories. Massive objects curve light, enough so that they can distort the image of things behind them. When researchers used the Hubble Space Telescope to spot a quasar from the early universe, they used it to estimate the universe's expansion rate and found that it is expanding faster today than it was back then, a finding that disagrees with other measurements. Now, physicists need to figure out if their theories are wrong or if something else strange is going on. NASA Hubble Space Telescope, Tommaso True, UCLA, and Birrer et al. 49. Astronomers found an infrared stream from space neutron stars are extremely dense objects formed after the death of a regular star. Normally, they emit radio waves or higher energy radiation such as X-rays, but in September 2018, astronomers found a long stream of infrared light coming from a neutron star 800 light-years away from Earth, something never before observed. The researchers proposed that a disk of dust surrounding the neutron star could be generating the signal, but the ultimate explanation has yet to be found. ESAN. Triennial, Pennsylvania State University, NASA. Discover some of the strangest things about planets, dwarf planets, comets, and other incredible objects around the universe.